Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. Thank you, Margot, at 6:30. And the first item is to approve the minutes from the regular meeting held on April 9th, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, next item on the agenda is tax collector reimbursements and monthly refund. Talk about refunds. We have two refunds are noticed this month. One to McHugh Mortgage Company for $1,830.96, and the other to Julia Whalen on Main Street for $493.39. The total reimbursement is $2,324.35. So if we could get a motion to approve that, that'd be great.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thanks. Third item on the agenda is review of planning and zoning commission possible appointments. We've all had the opportunity to speak to all of the folks who have applied. Having had those conversations, I'm going to recommend a couple of nominees. One, a couple of things we need to think about is we have to have a balanced minority representation on the board, which requires one of the appointees to be a Republican. We have only one of the applications have been a Republican, so I'm going to make a motion that we appoint Daphne Stroud to the Planning and Zoning Commission with a term to expire December 2019. So there's the motion. If we can certainly have a second and any discussion if you would like.
Second.
Yeah.
Is there any discussion about that?
No.
No? Okay. Then we have the motion, a second. All those in favor of Daphne Stroud?
Aye.
Aye. Now, both of these still have to go to the town meeting?
Everything that the two people that we put forward tonight, will go to town meeting. We'll schedule that for whenever we can.
Okay.
We've got a few town meetings coming up in the next month with the budget, so we'll fit that in there to one of them. And have the townspeople will come out and vote yea or nay on the people that we're trying to appoint.
Okay.
Next, I would like to nominate or to make a motion that we appoint Alan Parody to the Planning and Zoning Commission with a term to expire December 2020.
I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And that is that's all we have for the agenda. But
I was gonna say, could I say that
and you can say whatever you want.
I appreciate the four people that stood up and one expressed interest in the planning and zoning. All three of us talked, all four of them, and everybody had, in my opinion, had varying reasons that they wanted to be on, all legitimate. Up until, fairly recently, I didn't know there had to be minority representation.
Neither did I.
So I didn't know that, so that's fine. But I just wanted to thank everybody that did step up for stepping up. And I think I mentioned in the phone calls with every one of them, if they weren't selected, that I commended them for that, and I wanted them to stay engaged with the process to the best of their abilities in the past with attending meetings or trying again or getting on different boards and whatnot. So I thank all of them.
And I second it. I enjoyed the conversations with the different people, so thank you for your time. Thank you for stepping up.
Good, thank you guys for taking the time to do that. We're coming into the audience of citizens, so it's, Jane, go ahead. The two are Gary Clark and Roger Williams. That's it. One of the things I'd like to announce, we're going to try something a little bit different with our budget this year. We have our public hearing is scheduled for May 7th, and we'll talk about that a lot more tonight at the Board of Finance meeting, but also we have our town meeting on May 20th. One of the things that Deep River has always struggled with is our town meeting, or our public hearing is the same day as the referendum on the school budget. So we spoke last week with the Board of Finance, and I think we'll confirm it tonight, but I think we're going to try to schedule an informal information meeting about the Board of Education budget and the impact that has on all of our town budget. I think rather than come to the public hearing and hear about that after you've either cast your vote or not cast your vote on the same day as the public hearing, if we have a meeting prior to that where folks that are maybe interested to have that conversation prior to the referendum as opposed to at the same time as the referendum, maybe get a little bit more turnout and also a little bit more understanding of the actual impact. It's over 75% of our budget.
I think there's no such thing as too much knowledge.
Right. So that we're going to try to schedule for April 30th, which is next Tuesday. And we'll confirm that at tonight's meeting and get as much publicity as we can out about that. That's the business. We should see the street sweeper out, sweeping the streets, and you should see pavers out pretty soon up on Book Hill, over on Westbrook Road, and on West Bridge Street sometime soon. So.
I know in the past, it doesn't have to happen next meeting, but maybe put on a future agenda. I know in the past we've had Dawn come and give us an update on community affairs and what's happening in the town.
That's a great idea.
If we could have her come in, she used to give us a printout of arrest and speeding and
Yeah, I
everything
think that'd
else.
be a very good idea,
I think it would be good.
Yeah.
especially in light of the speed situation on Main Street and all that kind of stuff. She can maybe enlighten us all as to, what they as an organization are doing or what she would recommend doing or whatever.
It was very informal, and I'd like to have her come back.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
She was running radar right out here just a minute ago. She didn't pinch me, so I'm here.
Me neither,
But,
so all set.
You can't type that fast in that car.
in that old Nash, I can't, right?
No,
Yeah.
it was, the information was great.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
It sounds
She
like
can
a good
speak to, she just started, they changed the DARE program at the grammar school to a different, more updated kind of thing. And she could speak to that. She was over there today too. And that was, I guess they had a good time with the dog. So that's a good idea. I'll ask her if she can come in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, whatever her schedule warrants.
All right, good. Anything else, Jane?
Is there any way to, people go through the light and then they just hit the gas going out towards Chester. There's nothing we can do about that, huh?
I imagine that we're doing what we can on Main Street. We've got the patrols out there.
Put a fake car out there
Great idea.
Like on 95.
Yeah.
or scarecrow?
Yeah. Anything else, audience of citizens? Take a motion to adjourn? Nope, Ronnie?
Yeah, with the amount of people that we're trying to get on the board, has there been talk about expanding the board?
We talked about that. I think Tony brought that up a month or so ago. We did a survey of the surrounding towns in both Middlesex, and actually all the towns in Middlesex and New London County, and determined that, I don't know the numbers right now, I don't have them, they're in my office, but Deep River is in the, more than in the median. We are amongst most of the communities that have 7 on the board with 3 alternates. There is talk about it. I'm certainly willing to continue the conversation, but when we spoke last about it, it was determined that we don't have a real need for more people on the commission right now. There is also conversation about splitting the 2. Gary and I spoke about that yesterday, splitting the planning and the zoning commission, and those are things that take some time to look into and to review.
We're lucky right now.
Sorry.
We're lucky right now that we have a number of people that are interested in being on boards and commissions, and I know that's not always the case.
Right.
But is there anything that we should be talking about for, term limits?
I don't know.
We've never done that.
No, we haven't. I don't know. We can certainly explore it. We'd probably lose you and Jonathan first thing though, right?
Yeah,
And Jim, right.
because
So-
Janet came on a bit before I did, or about the same time, somewhere like that.
Could be.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. Because up until recently, there was a lot of vacancies on various boards around town and not enough people willing to step up. And I went through that on the Board of Education numerous times, where they asked me to come back because nobody wanted to be on the board.
We have a
for
hard
whatever
time
reason.
getting a quorum at Park and Recreation meetings.
Yep.
The
So,
Economic
yeah.
Development Commission is shy on people.
So I'm glad that there's people that are interested in planning and zoning now. I think that's great, and I hope it stays that way.
Mhm.
But it's
But if it-
interesting, I was talking to somebody and she said, she wondered in her small town, it's somewhere near Middletown, and she said, we can't get anybody to be on these boards. She
Yeah.
said, maybe we could expand outside the town. I mean, it can be a real problem, so
Mhm.
maybe it's not a good
Depends on
time
the
to bring
commission.
it up.
It's something to think about. We need people on all of our commissions, not just the Planning and Zoning Commission. As I just said, I just mentioned a few that are short-handed right now. And Park and Recreation they can't get a quorum for their meetings. They are having a difficult time making decisions on how to move forward with things like the carnival and things like that. So that would be a great opportunity for someone to get involved in a pretty fun organization.
I know we
But
put
as
it
far
in
as
the town news, but is
Yeah.
there any other way to publicize?
I suppose there might be. I don't know. I'm certainly willing to listen to you about it. As far as term limits go, it's an interesting question about term limits on something like planning and zoning, where really the rules and the regulations, as you're aware, are what govern the Planning and Zoning Commission, and it takes a little time to get to learn those rules and those regulations. So I wouldn't want to make that too short of a term for people, because just to have folks, spend their time
The turnover.
learning the regulations and then suddenly not be able to participate would be something difficult for me. Go ahead, Gus.
I got a question real quick. The one name was, you put out two names. Could you review them again for me, please?
The two names that we just appointed are Alan Parody and Daphne Stroud.
I hadn't heard of this Alan Parody, and
I've
I've been coming around recently.
If you were listening at the last meeting, I read his name, and I think the meeting before that, I read his name. So every time I've been asked about him, I've read his name.
I don't, maybe it's just me.
Mike, you had something?
Towns of our size, maybe Jim, because you had more, what's the average for a Board of Education budget?
For Board of Education.
Board of
budget.
Education?
Budget.
I don't know.
I mean,
It's
percentage
generally
wise,
average
average
is
is 75%.
Generally average
Oh, that-
between
that
70 and
number.
75%.
Most
of
towns,
town budget.
75% of the
That,
town.
okay, that number, yeah.
That is not an uncommon number. We're
No, I
a
didn't
little
think
bit
it
high.
was, but I didn't
It's
know.
not.
70 to
It's-
75.
It's frustrating in a regional system because a town like Deep River has more students, and as a result of the average daily membership, have got to, we contribute more percentage of our.
Maybe we ought to have the others contribute more, maybe.
Well, what I was
more-
thinking
more
about
them
doing
to
is,
have more kids.
I was gonna
Well, it
rent
goes-
some,
it goes
it's
up
actually
and down.
cheaper for us to rent apartments in Essex and send the families down there, but, we don't want that, of course, so.
Just like to make the point that, as a relative newcomer to Deep River, I've only been here for 8 years, it can feel unwelcoming to enter into some of the commissions. It feels like there's a lot of old timers who have their ideas of how everything should work. It can be very off-putting. So perhaps one thing we could think about is, you talk about planning and zoning needing to have long-timers because they understand the rules. I would suggest that new-timers would have some fresh ideas that could be offered.
Yeah, fresh ideas are good, rules are important. And certainly, any commission that you've tried to get on that you've felt unwelcome, please let me know, and I'm happy to speak with them.
I mean, one of the points is that when it became known to the community that there were vacancies on planning and zoning, you suddenly had 6 people who stepped up.
I will disagree with you. We've had those vacancies posted for years.
Right, but it's where they get posted, how they get posted. I've
Yeah.
seen other towns that post them actually
Yeah.
as they're like jobs.
As I said, if you have a commission that you felt unwelcome when you were trying to get involved in it, please let me know, and I'm happy to speak with
But I'm
those
making
people.
several points here, not just
And I'm
that.
addressing to that one right now. So, as far as the planning and zoning, yes, it's nice to have a lot of people come out for it.
Have you named the crowd progress with a CEO?
Yeah, we had a very brief meeting this morning, based on schedules from the River Cog. I was telling you that the director down there has been, we're trying to get them involved and help us out with some of the process. And we met with him. He just got back from vacation. We were scheduled for a meeting next week with the chairman of our Planning and Zoning Commission, me, the Regional Planning Agency Director, and the Director of the River Cog. So we'll meet next Wednesday and get the process down, and we can speak to that and start that process almost immediately.
In a nutshell, can you explain how that process works?
I can't right now. That's why we're having this meeting. We're going to advertise in an easy thing. We just advertise for it. Hopefully, get a few good applicants, and make a choice. But I don't really know the technicalities of it. And Jane has been very clear to point out that we need to pay attention to those this time.
I thought it was open just now.
Pardon?
I just finally thought I saw.
Oh, okay. There you go.
So, planning and zoning and wetlands don't really talk a whole lot, and they have stuff going on, we have stuff going on, we find out way after the fact. Is there any way we can, I mean, I don't know if a letter back and forth, like what's going on between the two, or if we should have a meeting? I know everybody loves to have meetings now. So, maybe another meeting between the two boards. Just throwing that out there, because I know that a lot of stuff we're like, oh, you get surprised by stuff that comes from wetlands. You're like, oh, we never knew anything about this, or they ask, what the hell did you guys do here? So
Yeah, I don't know. We certainly can encourage more conversation between the two. Both the zoning enforcement officer and the wetlands enforcement officer's office, their desks are right next to each other, and their office hours are the same. So I would hope that there was some communication between the two when things are happening like that. But we certainly will do more to encourage that kind of.
Yeah, I meant more on the commissions themselves.
I know.
I don't know.
In the school board when I was, there were some designated people from, we'd always ask for a selectman to show up. And unless they're a closed executive session or whatever, there's no reason why planning and zoning guys can't show up at wetlands and wetlands can't show up at planning and zoning.
Yeah, I mean,
We'll look into the statutes, or not the statutes, but the ordinances, and see what these are called. Because I know some towns, I've presented in front of some towns where the planning commission actually has a member who's also a member on the wetlands commission. So there's a conduit right there.
I don't think there's anything as too much communication.
I thought there was some rule about, not having someone.
Well, that's why I want to look into that. That's exactly.
But maybe what we could do is arrange that, just at planning and zoning, say who's gonna go to wetlands this time. And ask wetlands who's gonna come to planning and zoning this month.
yeah, maybe that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
And that way, if somebody's a volunteer, you're not locking someone in.
Or another meeting
Or
for
another
volunteers.
Well, they may have to combine the two meetings together.
Or at the same night, or
Yeah.
one following the other.
Leave it the same night, yeah. Except if somebody wanted to go to the wetlands and also wanted to be it.
Is there anything else for the meeting? Get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Good evening, this is the regular meeting, April regular meeting of the Deep River Board of Finance. First item on our agenda would be the approval of the regular meeting minutes, March 19. Hopefully everyone has read them. Does anyone wish to suggest we approve them?
March 26th, actually.
March 26th.
Okay,
And
all I have is March 26th, very good.
March 26th, and workshop minutes of April 2nd,
We have to,
April
very good, we have to
9,
approve each
and
of
April
the
16.
workshop minutes tonight. We did not do that
Departing.
at each. At the subsequent,
Well, we did it in March. We approved the ones from the weeks before.
It is fine.
And
It is
they
great.
read exactly the same
it's
to
great.
discuss the budget. There was,
It is a grand plan. Okay, all those
Mm-mm.
in favor?
No, we need a motion
Need a
first.
motion.
Need a motion for that.
So moved.
So moved. Okay, all in favor?
Well, wait a second.
Second.
Thank you.
Ah, I thought I heard seconds. There were so many voices, I heard seconds.
Got that one in, huh?
Now.
Audience of citizens.
We don't have to vote on it?
All those in favor?
We must-
We didn't vote on it? How many times we gotta say the same thing over and over again? I'm sorry, you are absolutely right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. All right, now, audience of citizens. Moment of silence. Hearing none.
And seeing none.
And seeing. Are we haunted? Is this town hall haunted? Do we claim to be haunted? Some towns hall perceives to be haunted. Library claims to be haunted. I mean, the way I said it would suggest I don't believe it, but there is a hint. So, treasurer's report, Tony.
Okay, hope everyone has in front of them the deposit report for April. The big order of business this past month was changing of the guard. So we had to delete Bill Burdick as our selectman on our accounts and add Jimmy Olsen. And believe me, that's not an easy thing. Jeez. Thank Jimmy for his patience. I know he did go into Citizens and Liberty Bank, and Liberty was pretty easy. Citizens a little harder. Yeah. We're still actually we emailed them today to see if Jimmy was able to sign. We're still waiting for authorization, but they have all the paperwork, so we're just waiting for them to give us the okay. I changed the Essex Savings Bank, changing of the guard there. People's United Bank, that's still pending too. All the information was sent to them. I'm just waiting to get the okay. So probably, I would say in the next week, you'll be able to sign.
So every check, Tommy, has to be signed by 3 selectmen and you?
No, generally it's just actually 2 selectmen and myself. Yeah.
Okay. So you had 2 selectmen available. Okay, got it.
And then we have the ECS monies that we're expecting that should be coming in the end of April, education equalization grant monies. We did receive in October and January $417,583. So for the fiscal year, we're just waiting for our last amount to come in, which is usually double that. But I understand per the Conference of Municipalities, budget, I think, was, Mick, were you in contact with them? That because we have $645,978 that's looks like it's budgeted for that.
Yeah.
As far as seems a little low, but if that's the case, I don't know.
I'm not aware of that.
Okay. I checked with
I'll
Kathy
follow up on
today,
that.
but
I'll follow up on that. I had not heard anything about.
But having said that, we are expecting those monies in the next week or so, by the end of the week, the month. And we made 2 wire transfers from People's United Bank, our money market account, into our Citizens General Fund account. One was April 4th for $850,000, April 10th for $250,000, so it's $1.1 million. Other than that, we look like we're in pretty good shape to the end of the year. Still have $3,770,000 in our money market account. So that's pretty much it.
So we're at the end of April, 4,000,001, and you're expecting some state funds.
Right. Yeah, and that's the large amount of it. That's usually about double what we've gotten in the other 2 segments, so should be in good shape.
So we have 2 months left. You know, I assume we pay the school at the beginning of the month, right? Okay. So we have 2 months left?
Yeah, 2 months.
And then the town does begin to get very active.
And then in June, we have a couple, let me see, we have 3 loans, sewer project loans. Actually, let's see, they're due in we have one that's due on June 23rd. And let's see, not sure. Oh, they're due in December, I'm sorry. So we do have one that's actually due on June 23rd. That's $23,099. So, as I said, I think we're in decent shape for the end of the year.
With that
End of the
surplus, it
fiscal
does
year.
seem like we should be able to get through June, so.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you see, we can see that where we were last year at this time too. That as far as balances or
And you're offering the numbers at the bottom as an indicator. That bottom is the entire, all accounts, right?
right.
As opposed
Yes.
to just the
Yes, it is.
dispersing account.
Yes, it is.
Right.
But you can see at this time we were at last year we were at 5,351,000, and now we're at 6,318,000.
And for instance, there's 12,000 of it in the garden club that's not really ours. Any idea of what they're planning to do with $12,000? And that's a nice chunk. I know they were just out here selling.
Well, the thing to pay attention with that, I don't know what their plans are for that, but that is not, they don't take any money, we don't provide that money, it's
No,
just,
I
they
don't
kind
know.
of just
That's
run that
one of
through,
their
it's all theirs,
fundraising.
right?
But I'm just wondering, what are they
No idea.
planning on doing with
In front of the town hall, it'd be-
that? I mean, we give some to the beautification a
yeah,
little bit.
yeah, I don't know.
Not seeding money, but
I don't know.
I'm just wondering if they have any plans.
I'm sure they do, but I don't know what they are. But I'm sure they'll be beautiful.
There are good people.
Tommy, I just did some quick math, I think that 650 is right where we're supposed to be.
Okay.
Yeah. But I will follow up on it tomorrow.
Recommendations of select, Tommy, I assume you have.
Yeah, I'm all set. Thank you,
all
Bud.
as a
Thank you.
completion. Anything, recommendations of selectmen, anything you wish to chat about?
I think the only thing we want to talk about is budget related. We can go into that whenever you want to start with that. We can go over where we sit right now, which I think is pretty good. I don't think anything is far below where we project them to be at this point, which I think is right around 20% left, maybe a little more.
Good. Laurie reminds me that she sent to the town clerk a notice that we will meet next Tuesday. Now, when you suggested and we agreed, it was an intent to give citizens, I think I'm paraphrasing, I'm getting in the right direction. It was an attempt to give citizens, before they voted on the regional budget, some indication of where the town budget would be. Which means what? I don't know. Is now the time to talk about what everyone thinks that should be? Or should we do it after we do? For instance, do we come over and come in and just talk about this budget with this document, make it available? Or do we put together an agenda that would suggest other things? For instance, if the school budget was turned down, which is a very difficult thing to talk about, there could be some surplus that would be available for roads, to be available for firemen. Is that the kind of conversation we wish to have? Or do we just say, we've got a $17 million budget of which such and such goes to the school, and that's a big number?
I think a combination of both of those. I think really the intent is to have the conversation regarding the impact of the Region 4 budgets, K through 12, that's everybody, on the town budgeting, before we've already voted on the referendum. That's really the thought on this. How we do it, I leave to everyone here. You are a lot probably smarter than I am as far as what to talk about. But I think that we want to simply express that while it is a great number, 75% of, it's a good percentage of our budget. It's not out of line with the rest of the state. It's not out of line with regional school systems, but it does have a huge impact on us. And these are things we ought to talk about prior to going to vote. I think talking about them at our public hearing I know it's frustrating for me. I can only imagine it's frustrating for everyone who's up at the table saying, well, yes, you're right, but did you vote? And it's not in any effort at all to say vote yay or nay, simply to talk about it prior to the end result.
one of the things I was just talking with Bud about is if we give, for instances, several years ago, we had to cut 100,000 out of the town road
Yep.
maintenance,
Yep.
trying to accommodate a huge increase just because of ADM
Yep.
in the school numbers. So certain projects were not able to be done. Had to put off even considering the fire truck without having to go through this whole grant process because we are trying to keep taxes low.
Yep.
But bring in some of those different projects that have been put off, and how much they would cost, such as upgrading the Wi-Fi so that we can come in here and get our notes.
Yep.
You know, the note that Bill's not very sick. We can't do that in various different spots, including right here at this table. And it
Well,
will
those are
cost
the-
about
those
how
are-
much?
Those are real concerns and real questions that should be discussed, but those are also part of a much bigger picture as to how do we improve our grant list? How do we improve our tax base? You know, whether that's through home values, through commercial use, or through some combination of all of that. Those are things that you can compare Deep River to Essex and Chester, and they're three very different towns as far as property values, as far as commercial infrastructure, and as far as the ADM, what we have to pay. And we have not gotten any relief. I anticipated some relief, as you're aware, you've been paying attention for a long time. This is a cyclical thing. Essex, years ago, Essex was getting creamed. Deep River has taken its lumps for a considerable amount of time now. I would suggest 6 to 8 years. I expected some relief based on projections a couple of years ago, but that did not happen this year. And Chester is getting hit pretty hard this year, but percentage-wise, it's not the same. So it's a big conversation. Really, I'd like to focus more on. You know, I don't have any intention of casting Region 4 as the demon as to what's keeping us from taking care of our roads.
That's my concern.
I don't want it, that's not the intent
Yeah,
of this.
that's my concern.
No,
It
but
Simply
can't
to
go
talk,
negative.
to let
It's gotta be
people know
neutral.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah, but also how can we make the operation of the town
Mm-hmm.
a larger percentage
Mm-hmm. Well,
without
I guess you
having
can't,
to-
you've only got 100%, so.
Yeah, I know, but without putting a heavy burden on those that are on very fixed
That's the
incomes.
goal, and that's what we'll talk more and more about today, is what we're doing this year.
Yeah.
That I think we're giving, I think we've come up with a good idea to give the town some relief this year. And we'll go from that for next year, you know, we'll start working, and Bud and I were talking this morning, this is a tight budget.
Right.
And we will have to pay attention to it from day one. And hopefully.
We don't, but it's the unexpected.
Yeah.
For instance, the blessing of now 11 firemen, it's a blessing,
Right.
but it's it costs.
$34,000, just like that.
Yeah.
Plus the insurances and all the other things that go along with that, so. It's really just a conversation, that's the frustration of it. The intent is to have the conversation prior to the referendum. And how we control that, whether we keep things on or off the agenda, or just have a good conversation. Whether anybody comes out or not, I don't know yet, but I think we all agree that it's a good idea to have a conversation about it prior to the referendum.
Prior to the vote, that's the key thing, prior
Yeah.
to the vote.
Right.
If they want to ask questions
Yeah.
that hopefully we have an answer
Mhm.
to.
Yeah, it's informal, it's not gonna be, you know,
And
it's
it's
gonna be a
written.
structured meeting, but it's not gonna be a town meeting or,
No, the agenda literally says, agenda to have an informal discussion on the impact of education spending on the town budget. That's it.
that's what it is. And I think we'll, you know, if we all agree that we do wanna move forward with that, we'll start advertising it now, tomorrow.
Yeah.
If
Well, that
in
was
fact-
Thursday.
Yeah, and I think we'll might be able to get it on the postcard, because I think we can get that out this weekend if we come to an agreement tonight, so.
Okay.
All right, we will move to budgets. Now, the way the agenda is currently written is we would review monthly budget report before we went into the next year's budget, which I think makes lots of sense. in case we come across something on the budget that would roll to the other side. Should we, anybody have any favorite? Do you want to look at revenues or expenses first? Let's look at expenses first.
Expenses, you said?
I said, yes, expenses. Unless you want to do revenues first. I generally go to revenues, but I thought expenses would be more interesting since it does go
As
directly.
I said, I didn't see anything, nothing jumped out at me as it was an anomaly, or, but if you see something that.
I saw some things, but they'll be just comments. The one that I thought was a little interesting is, this is, watch my math, this is what you got, April, the 10th month out of 12, so we should spend about 85% of our expenditures. And the first two numbers there, selectmen and treasurer, there's 8% left. I was just curious. I just thought that was odd.
I do too.
I just thought it was odd. I mean, that's my contribution.
It's funny. That's not usually the place I look. I can only ask. I didn't see that.
I'm trying to,
Is that even right, that Angus, you're only making $8,000 this year?
No, that's the selectmen, that
No,
first
that's
selectmen.
selectmen. It's selectmen.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the total way of, I think I need my glasses checked.
Which, by the way, to complement your mystery is, usually we see selectmen first.
Yeah.
So, well, you should be complimented, so.
That's
And
right.
that eight, those eights just threw me off a tad. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you pointed it out. I don't know what that is, and I'm gonna guess that there was.
Why are they out of order?
Yeah, I guess that something glitched in Kathy's computer when she was putting this
And so when
together.
selectmen and administrative assistant salary have 24, 25 left, seems to me there's another payroll in April.
Well, today.
That's right, so it wouldn't have been in these numbers,
Right.
it just seems that's not correct, so. There's some odd
We're not
numbers,
today,
the
but this
account
week.
manager, only 15% is left, but, I don't know what else to say. Let's go to, how about elections? Elections are razor thin. Has that printing expense, do you think, does that reflect the referendum coming up?
No, it wasn't.
Recount, right?
That's for the recount is why we got over. We're going,
Printing expenses for the recount? I thought they counted, I didn't think they printed.
well,
I assume that was the salaries, the register.
you're right. Well, I still know that they had to print out. This expense is not for the upcoming referendum, that much I'm confident of.
And we've said for a while, they're probably going to go over with the recount, put it over, so I don't know what to do until the time comes, so. Now, town, you've got quite a bit left in your town building repair. We budgeted 50, you spent 28, which we said it's 22 left. I mean,
that'll
and
be
again, this
happening.
is the time of year. to
That'll be
start
happening
looking.
this spring.
Yeah, it's up to. All right.
What sort of big repairs are going on in the town hall?
Town hall is
All
most.
buildings, right?
All
town hall
buildings,
buildings.
yeah, it's town hall, library, the town garage. Tri-Town needs a real going through, painting and maintenance. It hasn't been looked at in quite a long time. So that's probably where the bulk of this will go. Town hall, we need to repoint the steps. We need to do some things on some of the brick around it, as well as paint. The doors need to be refurnished and repainted. So that'll be mostly what's happening at town hall will be that.
Do you have any dollars left over for the internet, some various hidden
The
rooms?
internet is definitely, will be done before the end of this year.
Okay, I mean, the hidden chambers. The Board of Finance, us, we have not, this report would indicate we have not made the final payment to our auditors yet.
I don't think we've gotten billed yet. I'm confident we haven't gotten billed yet, because I spoke with Kathy about it.
That's fine, I mean, it's fine, just about stuff the next one. And we should probably, and I'll take responsibility, they have asked to come in and talk to us about the audit, and we have been focused on budget, so we'll probably have them come in. Okay? May's a busy month.
May's
May's a busy month. Maybe Jim.
May is a busy month, but by the time we come around to our last, we will have had our meeting. We'll be past the budget. The budget will either be passed or not.
We have a special meeting upstairs, and then we have a regular board meeting, unless anyone says nay. Assessors, everything's going well with assessors. Actually, it looks like she'll generate a surplus. Tax collector as well. Notice refunds are still in there. Special services, if you'll notice, tax relief for elderly reserve, $57,560. We put that aside because there is relief for the elderly. I know as a fact we are giving relief to the elderly. Angus and I have met with everyone involved in that task and wondering why the accounting is not done, and I don't have an answer. We have tried. And I believe that I've abandoned worrying about this year and hoping next year is better done. So,
I think we have a plan in place for
Yes, I
next
think we
year.
have a plan for next year.
Starting the
Yes.
year, so that'll be good. I think we'll see a marked difference with that.
correct.
I think the thing to talk about with that, if there's anything to talk about, is that was a mandated relief that the state has withdrawn their money. So the money that you'll see in this upcoming budget is strictly taxpayer money that's going towards that. It's a program that we started. It's a program that went quite a few years ago, and we voted 2 years ago to continue it. That's something that I think we need to go back to town meeting to continue it again. And I think we've decided by virtue of this budget that we want to continue it as a group, but we have to go to the town to see if we want to continue it. I personally think it's worthwhile and justifiable expense.
I do too, conceptually. It'd be nice to know how much we're giving. But yes,
Yeah.
to the above. And
Yeah.
in my
Yeah,
opinion,
according to
according to
Robin,
Robin, it's like $52,000 of that 57.
That's what I was going to say. She was pretty confident of that
Yeah.
number, so.
That is correct. Why we don't get the count, but yes, that is correct. And that is the number we've held for next year, so.
Yeah.
All right. Contingency, contingency of 12, we spent 4, so we've got 7 left. We should take some comfort in that number. Anyone stop me along the way here? Insurance bonds, you will notice that we budgeted 100, we spent 110. We have increased it in next year's budget to reflect what we think is a better and a more accurate number, 107. All right. Medical insurance, we've dealt with medical insurance at a higher amount in this year's budget. Pension plan, we take straight from the actuary, so we're good. Here's one that is worthy of just looking at numbers. I ask for no more insight. We're still in the budget in front of us, seeing tax exempt for the Deep River Fire Department and for the Deep River Ambulance Association. We give them some tax relief. Assuming the accounting is done correct, we have budgeted $15,000 for years, and we'll continue that next year. This number looks like we've only given $2,750.
I think that is the same thing as the tax relief for the elderly. It's just the accounting has been screwed up. The communications between the 2 or 3 offices have just been, it's not been.
And I'm going to grab that answer. For instance, we are not going to reduce the 15 in next year's budget,
Right.
which would give us additional.
Yeah.
That's not reduced. Okay, I'm in agreement unless anyone else wants to comment. Police, everything is fine with the police. Take notice, as we should every time we look at this. Bottom line, funded special police services. We have chosen to budget 30, and on the revenue side it says 30. whatever it is on both sides, so it sort of cancels itself out. But we've paid, I'm around $115,000 of police services out to our constables and trooper. There's that 80, so we've overspent by 85.
That also covers Chester and Essex. We have
Does it?
we have a mutual agreement. If they come work in town, they get paid through that, and then we get reimbursed. But we
Cool,
pay.
which would make tons of sense. Okay, would make tons of sense. When we get to revenues, we will see that we've collected revenues in excess of the 127,000. And you should compare that to my 114, my 115. We have been told for years that we collect in excess of what we pay constables. We have been told that that covers the cost of the car that they're in, gas that they're in, pensions they receive when they're out there, or accrue when they're out there. That's what we've been told. I believe that number is tight, but it is. It just is. Sometimes you just wonder. All right.
Because that also includes the administration of handling the billing and payroll and all that, supposedly. That was my understanding.
Oh, you mean of the amount over what we pay? Some of that should go to contribute to those costs?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yes, and so that 12, I believe, is being stretched a lot, but I don't know what to do with it, other than say things like that. General fund, let's see, fire department is slightly over on their maintenance. I assume fire department always spends as the spring weather comes, so.
Yes. Yeah.
Fire marshal, communications, civil preparedness. Highway department seems to be right on budget. I guess, do you agree with that? I see nothing there. You have not started your town aid maintenance until you get your additional monies, or?
No, we'll be starting, you should see papers out there shortly.
Okay.
We will be strung out. I cannot believe that the state operates this way, but we get our town aid road money a month before the end of the season, so we're kind of banking on getting it because we've already arranged for the papers.
And you've got 50-some thousand, almost close to $60,000 on the other option, which is just town roads that town fund, so we will, okay. So that all seems, you got a contingency of 15, we spent 3, so again, I draw comfort. I don't think that, I think when we looked at surpluses, we said they would break even, and I don't see, we may have taken a few dollars out of that contingency, but okay. Public utilities, we're okay with those, and we've bumped them in the next budget.
Yeah, we did.
Okay. Solid waste removal remains positive. We've got quite a bit left in there. When are the new fees going into effect?
Mira started in April 1 with new fees, and they'll go bump up again in July.
Oh, okay. So we'll see some of it in this budget.
We will see some. I think we will probably get a little bit of a stretch on that
Okay.
by the end of the year. Because,
Okay.
you know, a lot of folks there's a lot more activity.
Nursing, probate, everybody's fine. Here's the question I did have. Parks and Rec. Salaries and everything are fine. It is the maintenance of all facilities. We budgeted 30. They've spent 30,000. I'm rounding 500. That's a lot of money to have spent through, and it takes me by surprise. I don't remember seeing it in the prior year.
It was not. I missed that in my review for tonight as well. I will question that. That doesn't make any sense because we're just getting started.
Just getting started.
Yeah.
And the town crew does. How do you do this? The town crew does most of that, or some of it, and this is outside
No,
maintenance?
we
or
have outside maintenance, does an awful lot of it. You know, that includes plumbing at the facilities and things like that. It's not just,
Maintenance of plumbing, I would hope so.
Yeah. you know,
Good plumbing is
up
always
at
good.
Flatwood, you know, we've got, and at Devitt's, we've got that kind of stuff.
Okay.
You skipped over library assistant salary being down to 19.
Well, you know what? I do skip over the library. I don't even spend too much time in the library.
I know.
Library
I tried to do
salary, 12,000. Yes, I skipped over. Do you have a reference you would like to make other than there's 12,000 left?
Yeah, there's not that much left.
12,000 left. That's an excellent point.
But that's the percentage that's around, it's only slightly lower than the percentage they should have. I
Okay.
think they should have 22% left over right now, so it's only
Yeah, that's
slightly
what-
lower than
That
that.
seems to be the number for salaries, about
Yeah.
23%. So.
And I think that might be part of the answer for them cutting hours, because they knew they overspent early in the year.
Okay. Very good. Fountain Hill, interest payments are right on. Redemption of debt. Let's look at the general capital. Fire department spent, fire department's 35 we budgeted, they virtually spent 33.5. Looks like they've looked over, they finished with that project.
That's all finished, yeah, as
Okay.
far as I know.
Okay, that is good. Now, fire department turnout gear, we had a special meeting, we authorized 34,992 and 62 cents. They were pretty exact in that, weren't they? And they've spent 3,645. I anticipate that they will spend the rest of that.
Where is that? I didn't see that.
Capital.
Capital,
General
right?
capital, last one.
Last one?
Last one.
Six.
Last hunk, last section.
Third
Yeah,
Oh, I know that,
it's
third
six
down.
lines down. 54163.
54163.
There you go, turnout gear, that's why I
There it
couldn't
is.
find the turnout gear, good job, thank you.
So those are the new people.
Yeah,
Yeah. Maybe that's just a deposit and the rest is due on receipt. Because some of them come in a couple, 6 to 8 weeks after order.
There's lots of stories.
Oh, I think that's-
Yeah.
I think that's correct.
The helmets came in, I just made stuff up, so I don't. Who knows? And the 20,000, this is in our revaluation pre-funding, the 20,000 we have put in the budget. We haven't obviously we have not yet begun to spend on it. We have indication that Robin will begin to spend on that next year, in next year's budget.
Oh, absolutely, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we put 25 in next year. Do you have an idea how much you will spend next year?
No, we were talking about that. They're gonna go in the field probably this summer, just taking pictures and doing what they need to do in the field. And then it's just a matter of, they've gotta collect the information. Once they collect the information, they'll be in here. Once they start working every day is when we'll start seeing the real bills.
Okay. So remember, that 20,000 will go to pay for reval. We will see it in June drop to surplus. So we need to know that it will come out of surplus. So, and your architects are still working away on the fire department there, I guess?
Yes, oh yeah.
Okay.
Actually, you've got a meeting with the engineer, the DEP, and the architect next week, next Monday, so.
And he will bill you accordingly, I assume.
Oh, yeah.
Highway trucks, we budgeted 325,000. You've spent 188.7 to date.
Yeah.
Do you intend on spending the rest of the 133.6?
No, we will, I don't think we're gonna get anywhere near 325,000. I think we'll get
There's that much left.
closer to, I think we'll probably spend 85 more.
85 more?
Yeah.
Ah, okay, okay,
That's hopefully.
okay,
New pickup trucks.
The next bit, okay.
okay.
What is the discount account? Which has 0 and 0.
What's that again?
Discount account,
Oh, yeah.
999999999. I don't remember seeing that one before.
I've never been there before, I have no
Yeah.
idea what that is.
Okay, so it's the same pickup as earlier.
Catchy name too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, we should get rid of that.
Yeah.
Five-finger
At least it's all
discount.
zeros.
At least it's all zeros, yeah. Left hand going to the right hand.
We're giving a discount to everybody in town, okay.
Yes.
I'll tell you what, let's quickly, if you're patient, let's flip over quickly, look at revenues.
Here, it actually opened.
I think taxes are coming extremely well.
0.6 left, 69 left.
Revenues,
Yeah, you're down to Less than 1%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we're down, with that, the current taxes, we're down to less than 1%, $100,000, so. Same is true with property tax and arrears, we're virtually there, and we've over-collected on liens and fees and supplements, so that is all good news. I have no great desire to stop anywhere. There's a couple of, Tommy was chatting, this is your conversation, well, a couple things to stop at. Town Aid Road, they gave us half, and they will give us half soon. Tommy's point, we're awaiting $650,000, Tommy, is that your estimate on education?
Yes.
And you usually get that around April?
Yeah, it should be in the next week.
Good. All right. The state does give half and half, don't they? So, yeah.
Quarter, half.
Okay, is it quarter?
I thought it was quarter, half.
Is it quarter, half? Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah, 3 times a year.
Excellent, good. The one I would like to draw your attention to is grants for municipal projects. We have, in the current budget, assumed 136. Angus believes that we will get that. That is a hunk of money that we're waiting on, so. When's that coming?
You'll see it on the paved roads.
Cool, all right.
Look at the dollar signs and.
And Park and Rec is slightly overspent, but if you notice when we looked at expenditures, they over-collected and they overspent, so I wouldn't put any weight on that. And there's our police number again, the 127 that I made reference to.
Page 2.
What are we doing for auditoriums, the one that intrigues me?
What did we put in for them? What did we project that we might put in? I can't remember.
In the budget, auditorium,
Yeah.
$1,000. We kept everything at
$1,000.
$1,000. Curious what it is.
Even though they've brought in 3.
You know, but to speak a little bit to that police line that you were talking about and wondering about how tight it is this year, and I think it was a little tight last year too. Last year we were kind of winding down things like the Kirtland Street, River Street sewer project, the gas line coming down Main Street, the water line coming down Main Street. Those were all things that generated a lot of expense and a lot of income for that. So I think that's why you're seeing that tighten up a little bit now.
Makes sense. Any other questions on the actual budget? But we went through it a little bit longer because if you wish to use anything you learned on actuals, we can apply it to the budget. But let's see, the budget is before you. Angus just made copies. Angus, correct me if I'm wrong. The only change from the budget before us now, that was presented last week, is total expenditures have decreased by, I think it's $2,000.
Here.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have an extra one right here.
And the reason for that is Angus has I'll call it increased, but it may be returned a dollar amount in the selectmen's budget for a grant writer of $3,000. If you remember, $3,000. Last week, we increased town road aids by $5,000. We put $3,000 here, and I've taken that 5 out of the town road aids, which is so you less 5, 3's in. That's why it's down by 2.
Yeah, I think the explanation for that is, for some reason, grant writer came was out of the budget we were working with, the proposed budget, and whether we're successful or not with the fire truck grant, I found that it's something that we really have to try to pursue more, and the best way to do that is to have a little bit of a budget so we can just get someone going and on some of these things.
Again, we can go through it as in detail as anyone wants to, but the sum is that we would go into, we have a shortfall of expenditures over revenues of $47,621. We would go into our current surplus, which I estimate to be about $1,250,000, and we would fund it with that. Anyone wish to comment? We can put money back in roads. We had 5, we can put it back in, which the only thing we're doing now is just increasing the need to draw on our surplus. Thoughts?
I think we should try to stay under 50.
Staying under 50 is,
Well, that was our benchmark. And that's what we hit.
At 47, so I think we're.
I think we're all in
I
agreement
think
that
we're in
we're
a good
gonna do
place.
what we have to keep these taxes even this year.
I think we're in a good place, so drawing down 47 to cover is fine from my perspective.
That's the thing you left unsaid, is by doing this, you leave the mill rate exactly where it is now.
yes,
Yeah.
thank you. Yes, 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 yes.
And that's
Yes,
the important part.
That's
to
correct.
communicate.
Right.
that's an excellent, yes.
Yeah, so, decreasing the surplus is not a great thing, but it's better than, I
No.
think, raising the mill rate, especially when we have the surplus that we have.
We have the opportunity this year that I don't know that we'll have. I'm confident we won't have the opportunity next year to do what we're doing this year. And I think we ought to take that and grant some relief to the citizens. We've been whacked for the last, for quite a while.
No, I agree. The last 2 years were tough years, and I think it's, I think I think everyone's done a laudable job in putting together a responsible budget that doesn't raise the mill rate on the citizens of Deep River. Yep. It'll be tight. It's gonna be a tight budget.
I want to bring your, again, there is a second column here, appropriated budget. It's an odd column. It consists of what the town has approved, period. Town approved a budget last May, and during the year, it approved certain other items. It does not reflect what we currently think we're going to spend. That gets a little confusing. So when you compare everything to, it's sort of it is what was appropriated, it just doesn't reflect what we're going to spend. With that said, I suggest the surplus you see there of $1,200, I believe that will be closer to $85,000, $90,000, so, which is ample to cover the proposed shortfall, but that's just a hypothesis.
Oh, shoot. Well, we didn't get a no. I'm sorry to answer. But we will have spent that 68,000. I'm fairly confident. The letter we got today was not a positive response from the state. It was not a no yet, but I'm fairly confident that we're going to be denied that waiver based on that letter. So,
If you were to read it the way you seem to be reading it, is there any reason we should give the school the 68 now? Would they begin to could they use the May and June to accomplish anything with it?
oh yeah, there's no question that we have things that we had planned on a month and a half ago. We'll work towards that. I don't want to give them the check until we get a definitive no.
So the things you were going to
That
do
sounds-
can be done in July and August when there's
Absolutely
kids in
can,
there, and they'll
and they
still
will.
go back to
Yep.
this budget.
Yep.
All right, that's fine.
And a lot of what we're going to do was work towards the heating system that needs to be updated, the valves that need to go through there and that kind of thing. So, and some safety issues that will be addressed later on.
Good. Okay. All right, everyone. The time has come. Would anyone like to make a resolution or a proposal that we take this budget to the town?
I move that we take this budget to the town.
Thank you. Okay, we've got a first.
Second.
Second. All right. Any discussion, further discussion? All right. Call the vote. All those in favor of taking the 18,139,700 budget expenditures to the town, say aye.
Aye.
Cool. All right. Any other business that needs to come before the board?
I will get this postcard to the printers tomorrow. I know you're in class tomorrow, but I'd like someone to review the numbers that we put together. So just before we send it out.
I'll be home.
And you're about 1 o'clock? But if I email it to you, you could probably see it at the
Yes,
school,
yes,
right?
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, so I'll do that.
Do that.
I'll do that. We also have a legal notice that will go out for the annual town meeting, which is going to be May 20th, correct, Lori? Just want to double check all this stuff.
Wait, on my calendar. Okay, the hearing is on the 7th. The town meeting is on the 20th.
Okay, good.
And the
And I've got-
referendum is on the 7th.
And the referendum is
Referendum
on
is
the
on the 7th as well.
Yeah.
Which to Angus's point, I mean, it's an odd moment where you tell people, here's the budget. If you hadn't voted for it, you did vote for the school, there's no time left.
And that referendum runs from noon until 8 o'clock in the evening, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
I mean, starts, what, 7:30 or, is 7 or 7:30, what's start?
Town meeting
Yeah.
will start at, or I'm sorry, the public hearing will start at 7:30.
7:30.
All right. Ready, let's do the same as we did once before. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn the meeting.
Can I have a second that we adjourn the meeting?
second
All those who would like to, anyone like to discuss that? All those who, may I call the vote, who would like to adjourn?
Aye.
Aye. Well done.